Welcome to ECE 501B. My name is Hal Tharp, and this brief segment is simply going to talk about the procedures and the process associated with the class Advanced Linear Systems Theory. And today, if you are seeing this, you probably don't need to sign an attendance sheet, but you will need to be able to access the course website on D2L. That's located at d2l.arizona.edu. Your first assignment is due on Sunday, and that's a passport assignment. That is essentially your ticket into the class, and it will give me a way to sort of connect a face with the name and an email. And for that reason, give me your name with a pronunciation guide. If you are officially named Thomas, but you like to be referred to as Tom, then give me your nickname, an email, a current photograph, an interesting fact about you. Then there's a couple more things that you need to do. You can go online and take this learning style questionnaire, which I'm really wanting you to just become aware of the different ways that you can now process information and learn information. It's not so much that I want to categorize or pigeonhole each and every one of you into a particular type of learner, but I want you to be aware of the different ways that people learn, and that in certain instances or at certain times you might prefer to learn one way versus another. And this particular website actually gives you a way to identify and maybe improve upon your learning by exercising some of these techniques. Another thing that I would like you to include in your passport are a couple of sentences after you've read 10 rules of good studying and 10 rules of bad studying relative to this website produced by Barbara Oakley, and just comment on some good studying habits that you might try to develop in the future or that you presently exercise, and maybe some bad studying rules that maybe you have since discarded or that are still sort of tripping you up. And then you can simply type your name as a signature. You don't have to scan it. If you do have the scanning capabilities, that's fine. That's the passport into the class. We are obviously recording our lectures, and I will simply put these on the D2L website, and hopefully it's fairly well organized on the content page of the course website, and you will simply be able to linearly scroll down the web page and find each of the lectures in a sequential fashion that pertain to the appropriate information and topics that we're covering. As a outline of the course, you can contact me via this email address. The office hours may not mean too much to the online students, so send me your emails as to questions. It is important that you try to gain a copy of Linear Algebra Done Right. I will actually supply the second textbook, Signal Theory, that will be available through the course website on D2L. And then there's an optional book on how to read and do proofs, because this class is trying to raise our mathematical maturity so that we become a little bit more comfortable with following papers, deriving our own mathematical results in the process of completing our graduate education and advancing further in this discipline of electrical and computer engineering. We'll have several homework assignments. I'm assuming, or I'm planning on having 2 exams, and then we will have a final exam. Your grade in the class will be based then on those 2 exams, all of your homework. We'll have a project, and then we'll have a final exam. The outline of the class is really sort of a linear progression through the textbook by Axler. We'll start in Chapter 1 with vector spaces, then we'll put some dimensions on those lists, then we will talk about maps and what those maps allow us to do in terms of where we can get to, what essentially maps to the origin or to the zero vector. We'll talk briefly about polynomials. We'll then look at maps that are special maps, and we can now identify eigenvalues and eigenvectors for certain maps. We'll put more structure on our spaces so that we now can perform inner products, which allow us to define lengths and angles. And now, once we have these spaces that have inner products, now we can put operators between those spaces and eventually get to trace and determinant, which are sort of the last thing that we worry about in this presentation of linear algebra. This development is for finite dimensional vector spaces. We can do the same thing for infinite dimensional vector spaces, and we'll get briefly into that, but I hope that the material that we cover in finite dimensional vector spaces will more easily transition you into the infinite dimensional situation of functional analysis. That's where we're going. Welcome to ECE 501B, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that you enjoy this presentation dealing with linear algebra.